And we are here. Welcome, everybody. It's nice to be here on a Sunday afternoon. We are getting ready to have a fantastic conversation. I feel very honored to be the host of this afternoon's show. Thank you, Dean, for allowing me this space, which you do a really good job of managing. So I want to begin by saying, Alvina, I have not met you before. This is our first introduction. Pleased to meet you. I saw you for the first time, besides online appearances that I watched. I saw you in virtual person about 5 minutes ago, and I already have a complaint because it's really unfair that I get to be on the same screen with somebody as glamorous as you are. So I'm sitting here with my middle-aged white Afrikaner woman appearance. I mean, I just simply cannot live it up. I just think that your look is amazing. It's gorgeous, and welcome and thank you for your time. And Esther is doing what women do. We do 12 things at the same time. She was running an errand to have the washing machine fixed, I presume she'll tell us, because that is one of the realities that women have to face. And I'm not saying there are no men who face that, but we have to keep so many balls in the air. So, Alvina, I know nothing about you. Would you begin by just giving me a brief overview as to who you are, where you are, why you are the person that you are today?
All right. Thank you for having me. Hi. Is it, how do I pronounce it? Is it Tarsia or?
You know, different people have different ways of saying it, and I just love the way it sounds in your mouth. So go ahead and just say it. It's actually quite a difficult name to pronounce. It's even to Afrikaans people. So the way you say it, I love what you do with the R when you say it. So please do it again.
Thank you for the go ahead. I didn't want to butcher the name. I didn't want to, start off on the wrong foot. But so thank you so much, Rob. It's so dope that we're here, all women together, that Dean and the rest, Dean and Bolalang were like, let's do this. And you're here and you're hosting. It's amazing. I am glad to meet you as well. And I will say that we are all glamorous because we both can see, because without this, I'm just like in a blood room. So we're twinning. So it's okay. It's totally fine, but we can pray for. Anyway, let me not
Pray for
start
me on my
violently.
side.
Yeah, so my name is Alvina Gashugu. I am mostly in the entertainment space. I became an atheist late 2022, and I met Bolelong on one of the atheist groups, and we got to do a show together. There's a show we've done where I explained how I became an atheist. That was 6 months ago. It was a really great, insightful discussion because I found myself in spaces where we could openly discuss things that were not as easy to talk about growing up, because I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I used to knock on doors from 4 years old, and it took a lot of unlearning to be able to get to this point, because it's really deep in the subconscious. Even sometimes you find yourself saying things and it's like, wait, that's a scripture I memorized while I was preaching, so it had a really big impact. And I think with the day and age of social media, I'm just happy that we can have discussions such as these. I'm always very glad for that, because I'm very sure there's a time you would have said anything, you'd be banned and, witch and all that. So I'm just
Well,
glad
Alvina,
we're.
I want to just, I didn't know that you came out of the Jehovah's Witness, which is one of the most controlling faiths, religions, whatever, that I would see them as a cult. And
Yeah.
they're a high control organization. So firstly, were you, and are you, at this moment, are you being shunned by friends and family? And I hope not. And how did you deal with that, if it is the case? And how has it impacted your social life to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses? Now, I know that some people don't officially leave. They sort of just flow away and gently disappear. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
easy that was in your circumstances. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's exactly what happened to, because the good thing about me, I never got baptized. So I used to study, but at the back of my mind, I had too many questions. I've always been an inquisitive child. So I think because the more I questioned, the more I didn't believe in this. I didn't know atheism as a concept. I didn't know something like that can exist, that there are people who question being you claim there's a God, you have to prove it, all that, because we grew up very sheltered. You're not supposed to look at articles outside jw.org, things like that. Yeah. So for me, I think I can say I drifted away because I just stopped going to meetings. And the other day I saw on Facebook a former friend, like Jehovah's Witness, invited me. Like today is the what, Memorial, Easter, yeah, whatever it's called. And then I saw this person is unavailable on Messenger. So I'm notorious for posting a lot of atheist stuff and questioning a lot of things. So I'm sure she must have seen one or two posts and been told that's an apostate. Stay away from her. Stay clear from her. So it's fine. I lost people along the way, but I lost them even from way before because I didn't feel like there was real love in the community. It was, I love you as long as you do what I say. And to me, that
Yeah.
never sat well with me. So here we are today.
Just tell me something about the baptism in the JW. I don't know how that works. So I grew up in the Protestant Calvinist denomination, and we have no choice. We are baptized when we were about, preferably within 6 weeks. So, and my kids were all baptized very young as well. And so, do you have a choice? Do you sort of say when you get baptized, or how does that work? And can you say, no, I'm not ready yet? I'm curious about that.
It's mostly a test of knowledge because you study for some time. There are different books that have different verses of the Bible. So, like, oh, I remember studying Learn from the Great Teacher, and it took me a long time to be able to. I don't know. I was always sharp in school, but it took me a long time to digest that. So I never. You have to get baptized when you're aware of it. So in Jehovah's Witness, it's not like Catholic where you get baptized at birth. Though I did start off as Catholic, as I said in the other time, I was just like looking forward to learn more things and connect with other atheists around the world because everyone always says you can be an atheist, believe what you want as long as you keep silent, so that's what makes us want to talk more, because the more you silence me, the more I want to shout out like the rocks. Yeah. I'm just following the scripture. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's where Jehovah's Witnesses prided themselves more. Like, oh, you have to be aware, you know what you're doing, you're choosing this. But for some reason, for the life of me, I just couldn't choose it. I kept starting. I don't know. I was resistant. I've always been rebellious, and now I understand why. Ooh, my brain was working all along. Like I just
there was a reason for that rebellion.
Yeah.
So you're a newbie to atheism, which in some ways I feel a little bit envious, because I feel like I've been doing it and I've been engaging in it for 10 years now, and I actually wish that I could have been a newbie now, because when I came out, when I realized the resources weren't what they are today. If I would go completely crazy if I had to be a newbie today, because the resources, the options are just so much better than they were 10 years ago. So how are you finding that?
But that says more about you. Like, I'm just so amazed that you could open your eyes that soon when the resources weren't enough to tell you, like, hey, wake up. Why are you believing what you believe? Like you already told yourself this doesn't make sense. Or I don't know how your journey was, but it's just amazing that you could become an atheist years back before people started talking about it as much. So yeah, I don't know. That to me it's awesome. Like, wow, good for you.
It was, as with many people I've interviewed, it was trying to be a better Christian that turned me into an atheist, because I was so serious about God and about Jesus and about the scriptures and getting to know the Bible. And I couldn't jibe with the church's messages anymore, so I decided to go it alone. And it got me to the best place that I am now in. And so it was basically just reading the Bible is good enough. But to have those other resources and to be able to connect with people, that is something that I missed in the first 5 years of being an atheist, because like many Christians who leave the faith, you lose a, a lot of community. And some of us are more keen and we need more community than others. I know atheists who are just like, what the hell? I'm not interested in having any form of that, perfectly happy having no community at all, not with anybody. But I'm a person who like people, and I enjoy people, and I enjoy feeling a sense of community. And because I also think that a sense of community gives me, with my personality profile, a sense of purpose, because I like to I'm a teacher by training, and I like to know or to feel that I'm having an impact in the lives of other people. And not everybody has that same instinct. As an artist, I suspect that you have that same need to have an impact, preferably positively, on the lives of other people. Tell us a little about your art. What exactly do you do, and how does that play out since you have deconverted?
Okay, great. The interesting thing that you mentioned that you're a teacher, I found myself teaching for the past 2 years, but it's not the thing that I started doing. So I get you completely. I was teaching foreign languages. There was French, German, and the rest. But my background has mostly been in entertainment. So I think that's why the kids are happy, because I end up entertaining them more than the like just being there. I incorporate
Oh no!
a bit of me.
Let me tell you, both my parents are retired teachers. My brother's a teacher, and I'm a teacher.
Yeah,
And the best
awesome.
teachers are at heart entertainers. There's
Yeah,
just not so much scope for entertaining as there is for teaching. But if you can combine the
yeah.
entertaining and the teaching, you have a win-win. You'll be a great teacher.
True, because every piece of entertainment is meant to, educate, inform, just have fun with it, enjoy. Like, yeah, so you combine the two, and there we go.
Yep,
First
absolutely.
of all, I hope the sound is good. I moved to a different house and I had like a system and everything, but where I moved to, like, I can hear loud music from the neighbors, and I'm like, I hope it's not catching on here. Like, shout.
I'm fine. I can hear you well. I see you well. Connection seems good. I hope it's the same on my side,
It
because
is.
I'm
It is.
sitting in my
Very good
son's
confirm.
man cave. So I hope that works.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's very important how we question things, regardless of where we find ourselves in life. Like one thing you really meant that you mentioned that is really powerful, the sense of community. That's where religion kind of like defeats us as in. It's not like it's a competition, but where a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable being their authentic selves is because they're afraid to lose that sense of community. If you say the truth, you're going to lose some friends, you're going to lose family, because that happened to me. Being shunned without being shunned directly. Because even online, there are friends who have known you and you've grown together in these apps, but they just know a version of you that they created to interact with.
Mhm.
But the moment they see you changing ideals, changing um, the conformity, it brings a lot of friction. And I think when you're new in atheism, the bad thing sometimes is the militant aspect, because you feel like you have to discredit every little thing. There's that feeling of I want to inform, I want to, because it's passionate, because it's when you just discovered and you're like, I wish someone could open my eyes like this, even
Oh
at a time
yes.
when I was younger, because I always used to wish for a person like me growing up, and now I see so many people speaking up, and I'm like, yeah, this is for younger me. So any small thing that cannot be proven, let's go, let's debate, guys. What? Oh no, prove it. Yeah. So there is a job, but that's a Kenyan thing where we're like, you must be high on some greens. That's why you're saying the things you're saying. So when you hear a Kenyan say stories are jaba, jaba is a type of, it's like a drug, but it's from a plant. So when you chew it, it gives you hallucinogenic properties. And that's when people give stories that make no sense. So we were saying the person who wrote the Bible was on jaba.
Which
It's
is
not
probably
marijuana, it's a type of plant.
And it's I think there might be evidence for that, that it's not a strange idea that shamans and in the ancient world,
Mm, mm.
people engaging in ritual to go into that type of trance. I mean, sometimes you need a little bit of help, and plants were amongst the most powerful and first, well, they still are,
Yeah.
drugs. So it absolutely makes sense to me. Um, and yeah, so I want to know about. Do you write songs? I want to get back to your music and your art. Do you
Okay.
theater, drama? Do you do songs? And I'm asking that because I'm the CEO of a new activist organization, Kruisvrij. I don't know if you're familiar with any Afrikaans. Uh, so
Not yet.
Kruisvrij means cross free. And one of the first things that I had done as CEO was to ask an artist to write us an anthem, because I think music has such an important role to play in society. It plays such an important role. And we can communicate things in songs and music that we can't communicate in other ways as effectively. So, when are you going to do us an African anthem for African atheists?
Actually, that's such a brilliant idea. And I remember Bolelang telling me the same thing last time. Thank you for the reminder. I only needed 6 months more to remember, but here we are.
There we
Because
go.
yes, it's really, really important to to have such music and representation, because that's how we express ourselves. Like John Lennon, Imagine, such a powerful, beautiful song. I didn't even know he was an atheist before. I just loved the song. So I will work on it, because mostly according to the markets, seeing even Tyler with Water, we've been working on pop music and just danceable tunes, and not necessarily much in a deeper message, just for people to have fun and have a club banger with it. But I'm very sure at some point I will do that. I have space for that, and there's a need for that.
Well, I can see a club banger about atheism. I mean, uh,
I love that.
the, the,
By the way,
I mean, uh, show me the gods, show me the gods. I just sang.
I love that.
No, I absolutely. We need an African club banger with an atheistic theme. Um, I mean, the nice thing about club bangers is that the words can be very simple. So
You're absolutely right. Why not? Why must it? Because it's a serious topic. So we have to have a really serious beat, have serious faces, and be like,
no,
yes, there are no gods. Nah, we can have fun with it.
absolutely. I think we need to get my friend Jackie online, and we need to do some jamming. I don't know what part of the jamming I'll do, because I'm not a jammer. I was a bit of a nerd, as I said. So growing up and as a Jehovah's Witness, I know in South Africa, Jehovah's Witnesses, they attend normal school, but you kept very separate. So, for example, you're not allowed to attend school assemblies. You don't celebrate Christmas. You don't celebrate birthdays. So, when I taught many years ago, when I taught primary school, I once had a Jehovah's Witness in my class, and if one of the other kids had a birthday and brought cake to school, that boy wasn't allowed to partake in any of that. Did you experience that as a child in Kenyan schools? I know nothing about the Kenyan education system, and I do know that is Kenyan mostly Christian, or are there Muslims or other faiths? And how does Jehovah's Witnesses um, mesh with the other religions in Kenya?
Very great, insightful question. Yeah, it's actually literally the same, because I had to segregate myself a lot as a child. I never partook in birthday cakes. I used to feel so bad, but so good, because oh, my discipline, I'm respecting my faith. So I think Jehovah's Witnesses are the same everywhere. You have to segregate yourself. You can't celebrate your own birthday, your friends' birthdays. You can't sing the national anthem.
Yep.
And I think that worked as a disservice to me as a human, because instead of forming connections and getting to know these people, I always put them at arm's length because they did not know the truth like I did, And for humanity to advance, you have to be together. We're social beings. You can't think you know everything and just segregate yourself. So I've had to do a lot of learning, even growing up, and change a lot of my approaches and perceptions because I knew I already know everything that there is to know. So what is left? And Afro Atheist is here. I've been waiting to meet a fellow woman atheist as well in Africa. Ooh, yeah.
No, but
Well,
Tessia is in Africa too.
No. Yes, we're talking already. Another and another. You get
Okay,
another one.
okay. All right, okay.
Well, Alvina, I have to interrupt your telling us about your growing up and your feeling isolated, while at the same time a little bit proud for being isolated. I resonate so much with that feeling because I was the religion that I grew up in wasn't as restricting as Jehovah's Witnesses, but we were also a minority group. And it gives you a sense, you feel alone and you always feel a little bit like an outcast, but at the same time, it feels so good because I'm just that little bit better than the rest because my faith is a little bit more correct than theirs. And that does give one a feeling of superiority. But on that note, if there's one person who is absolutely allowed to have a feeling of superiority about who she is and what she's achieved, that is Esther, the Afro Atheist. So we have spent some time chatting on the internet. I missed you when I was in the UK in 2022 due to, just travel distances and things like that. But Esther, I haven't seen you in a while. Happy New Year. I think it's the first time this year that I see you. It is fantastic to see you. I hope you are doing well. And it's just so lovely to see you again. Esther and I have actually chatted on WhatsApp. We need to connect again because...
Yes, absolutely.
So, Esther, tell us about what it's like to be an African woman in the UK who is an atheist activist.
Well, before I start, let me apologize for coming in a bit late. Life happens, and but thankfully the washing machine is fixed. It's beautiful. It just hearing the sound of that machine come on, it felt like heaven. That sound, it's beautiful. So
Esther, I want you to keep that thought about the washing machine because while we were waiting for you to come on,
sorry, I was hearing every single thing.
Oh, you
Nothing.
did? Fantastic.
I heard everything.
I want us as a female panel, an all-female panel. I want us to talk about being a woman, being an activist, and being a woman activist for what is still a minority view, and that is being an atheist. Because the combination of those three things. Oh, and then I do think that we can add to that, the three of us,
yes,
being African. And I know I might not look like an African outwardly, but believe it or not, my ancestry is African, although
absolutely.
my European, the DNA of my European descent has not yet been overridden by the African DNA. So, evolution takes some time to happen, but we're working on it. So, Esther, tell us about being an African woman in the UK who's an activist for atheism.
First of all, I will say that being in the UK is a huge part of becoming an atheist. I feel like if I was still in Nigeria, I would still be a believing person. I would still be a believer. Because nearly everybody in Nigeria is religious. I mean, the statistics shows that when you go and look at the divide of religion.
Okay, something happening there? Maybe it's often when things like that happen, it's a child. It's often a child interfering. Alvina, I don't know if you have children.
We'll not open that chapter, but yeah, true. Most of the time.
We've lost Esther's sound. I don't know what to do about that. But sorry.
I was saying she's gone like rapture. How will no? I have to stop more. I can't help it.
Well, the same happens all the time. Oh, and talking about that you can't stop it. You know, the nicest thing for me about having had my whole family deconvert eventually as well, when we are together, we can make jokes like that all the time. Esther's back. Let's hear.
Anything? Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened.
We can hear you now. Oh, she's got a sound issue.
Yeah. So your whole family, as she's sorting it, your whole family deconstructed as well?
Eventually, yes. My youngest brother and I were the first. Then there were some years of conflict and strife. My parents took it really badly. And then eventually, I was fortunate in that my husband deconstructed basically the same time that I did, although he wasn't as open about it. He's still not nearly as open and as active as I am. So we raised our children non-religiously, which makes it very difficult for them because South African society is 80-90% Christian. What's the situation in Kenya?
I generally think it's the same, but yes and no, where predominantly it's not Christians, it's atheists, but because people are choosing peace and not to argue a lot and not to be discriminated against because of the sense of community, a lot of atheists are not as outspoken as Christians, because Christians, you'd find, they feel like they have autonomy over freedom of speech, so they'll preach anywhere, everywhere. They'll be very loud, make their presence known online, in commutes. That really annoys me. I just want to travel in peace. Can you not enter the bus and start spitting and preaching? And I'm literally seated right there. I put in earphones. A preacher goes, even if you put in earphones, don't worry, God is coming. I'm like, God damn it, shut up. What are you on about? It must be
what,
how.
Alvina, I have to. What do you do when you're on a bus and a preacher comes in and starts preaching? Do you actually, would you confront him, or does it depend on what kind of a day you're having? Because I can see myself sometimes just going, oh, please shut up. And other times I would just get off the bus and wait for him to go away. But I can see myself being tempted very often to actually begin engaging. Do you ever do that? And how does that end?
I've always wanted to confront one, but like for me as a content creator, artist, the entertainment aspect, I've wanted to do it if I'm with someone so we can record the moment, because I want to make it a thing just to get people talking. There's no such thing as bad publicity. But a lot of people, I think, because we're driven by fear, there's respect, yes, because we're used to this. It's already like you've conformed to it. So nobody feels like they have the right to shut them up. I've really been tempted to tell them, shut. But I haven't. I've been there and just been like, why can't I do anything about it? Same way as the memorial of Jesus Christ in Jehovah's Witnesses. We pass the wine and the unleavened bread, and only the 144,000 can partake in them. But I kept asking myself, what if I try and sip one day? What's going to happen? Are they going to carry me out of the kingdom hall? Like, I want to try and drink this wine and see what happens. But then there's a part of me, I think, that is not fearful. There's fear, but there's respect as well, in that, do I really want to cause chaos for no reason? But also, is it that I don't want to cause chaos, or am I still afraid of what I was taught growing up? Because what will happen, So I don't know. I don't think anyone will ever.
Esther, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
No.
Okay.
I don't know what's happened.
I'm going to go into the chat. Just hang on 1 second. I'm going to go into the chat and ask Dean to see. Have you spoken to Dean, Esther? Because producing in the background. So I'm just going to go into the chat and ask Dean if he can see what the problem is.
Oh, yes, the Lord is interfering. The Lord Zeus has come to cause violence. Hey!
I'm going to, and now I'm typing this.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We
Can
can
you hear
hear
me?
you. Yes.
Okay, now I can hear you. I'm not sure, but I can hear you.
It was
And
Alvina's proclamation. That was it.
there's no echo coming from me, is there?
No,
No.
it's
No?
good.
Okay, that's all right. I am so sorry. I don't know what happened. Something just kaput. I apologize. My
No,
goodness.
sorry.
Things
I'm
happen.
messing things up for you guys. Okay. Sorry about that.
Absolutely not. I'm just sorry that I'll now have to think about. Oh, you were saying that it
Yes.
was going to the UK that actually was an integral part of your deconversion.
Yes.
So, because in Nigeria, those who are not Christian, I presume, are Muslim. So Nigeria is one of the most religious countries in the world. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got at least 49% of, no, about 45% of the population are Muslims, and about 44 odd percent of the population are Christians. And so the others, um, that is the agnostics, the traditional worshippers, the spiritualists, everybody else are divided into, they're all grouped into the others. That is 1% of the population considers themselves to be something other than Christian or Muslim.
Or Muslim.
Everywhere you go, it's right in your face. So when I came to the UK some good number of years now, I was told that in the UK, yes, the UK is Christian, but the way they worship in the UK is very watered down version of Christianity. But we in Africa, we know how to worship God. We know how to praise God. We have so the advice was find yourself a an African based church, because we Africans know how to do God, right? And when I came to the UK, that's exactly what I did. I was going to the African version of the church. It was like change of location, but still the same sort of things, the same sort of doctrines, the same sort of dogma, moving from Nigeria to here. It was until I stepped into a Church of England church.
The
Something
stiff
had
upper
happened.
lip.
Something had happened. My ex-husband had fallen out with the pastor of the church, and I couldn't go there because he's not in good terms with these people. And so, right, I just thought, you know what? Because we're used to going to church on a Sunday, I might as well go to the church next to me, right? Church of England. Not something I'm used to, but let me just go. Well, I got there and found the things were very, very different. Very different. But I enjoyed it. I there were a lot of differences, and I realized that these two, the differences, there is no way in hell that you can say that these Africans and these British people are Christians. One of them would have to be wrong and one would have to be right. There's no way, because their doctrines are not, they're polar opposites. And so if they're polar opposites, they cannot both be right.
But they
That's
can
one of
both
the,
be wrong.
but they can both be. At first, it didn't seem like they could both be wrong. At first, it seemed like, okay, let's figure out who is wrong. And then slowly, over time, deconstructed that and just realized, look, they are all wrong.
Yeah, both right.
And of course, my it's a whole bigger story because it's a process of years, about 2 3 years in the making, from going from being a someone preparing to become a priest in the Church of England to becoming an atheist, right? And so, come away from that, I will tell you that um, just the British way of church and the African way of church, when I compared the two, it was a huge part of the questions. How are these people all Christians? There's no way these are Christians and these ones are Christians. No. And if Christianity is all that it is made out to be, it should be the same. We should have the same, if not the same, at least near enough the same. But no, you don't get the same. You get it's mind blowing. So yes, that's just a little bit about the difference of, or the huge reasons why I'm an atheist, and just being an African in the UK, having those two worlds merging together, and those two just didn't fit in. They just couldn't fit.
Mm.
So yeah.
Well, Esther, I have to say, I can see you looking absolutely lovely in Church of England vestments. I can see you in those outfits. Hey, don't you?
You know something? If I decide to go back, I never put a there was never a closed on my file. It was a case of whenever you are ready, come back. Because at this
Wow.
time I was struggling. I was struggling with my faith. I was struggling with just the whole thing not making sense anymore. I remember sitting in that meeting to decide my next steps after I'd finished the what you call it now. It was pathways to ministry. I'd finished the first year. I'd done the living faith, where you find out about the Church of England's doctrines, and the next year was pathways to ministry, where you learn about all the paths that you can take in leadership in the Church of England. And there was a huge drive by the Church of England to recruit people from the black and ethnic minority groups,
Oh,
because
that's
the
interesting.
leadership
Politically correct.
the leadership of the Church of England is very white, male dominated. That is the face of the leadership of the Church of England. And so they were actively looking to change that. And so there was a call had gone out. There was an email sent to most of the bishops to say, look, if anyone comes expressing desire to want to be part of the leadership from the black ethnic minority groups, women, just whatever looks different from the white male outlook, what we've got, just let them in, just have them, right? And so when I expressed that I wanted to be part of leadership, let me tell you, it wasn't a case of oh, they just, they come on in, we want you. And so yeah, because of the love that I received in that church, I delayed my deconversion. I delayed it because I felt like I would be betraying people, but I had to be true to myself. I had to be true to myself. When I realized this was not working out, I've been through all the steps. The next step was to become a priest in the Church of England. And I could see myself, if I had continued with that path, I could see myself one day in front of the audience, stand there and say, I don't believe this. I'm sorry, I'm lying to you all. this is not me. I had to be true to myself. So yeah, I wanted to be able to sleep well at night. I don't thrive when I am lying to people and just being a a deceitful person. And so for me, no, I would rather come away. Um, I wrote an official letter to the church expressing that I had lost my faith. They wrote me back a full-paged letter. Basically, it was an apologetic letter trying to tell me
Oh,
all the
Esther, I'd
reasons.
love to see that. When are you going? Do you still have it?
Yeah, I have done it on my show. I've still got the letter. I've still got
Please,
it. It was a four
I
page
need to.
letter.
I need to see
My
that where you
my
read that letter.
my letter was only a one-page letter, just saying, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
oh.
I've lost my faith. Um, and these are the reasons, and these are the reasons. But they wrote me back. It was a four-page letter, and I couldn't even read it. I got people on the we streamed it on StreamYard onto YouTube, and I remember it was Dog and somebody else. They read that letter out to me. I couldn't even read it. I had that letter for months, and yeah, when I closed that door, that was it. I There was nothing. I felt like if I'd read that letter, there might be something in it that would make me feel obligated to go, at least go back, at least just go see what and no, when it was done for me, it was done, and I was not trying to get anyone or anything to convince me otherwise. So yeah, and I will tell you, it has been a journey. It's been, let's see, going 5 years or maybe more. I don't even know. There's no date as such, right? I don't have a date when I can say, okay,
Mm.
here's when I became an atheist, right? But it's been about 5 years, and I'm not relenting. It's one of these that it just gets better. You know, being an atheist has been by far one of the best things that has happened to me. I'm thriving, right? I'm thriving. I'm doing so much better in my life. I mean, um, I've met people. Look, if I just imagine if I wasn't an atheist today, Tessia, I would never have met you. Alvina, no way, our paths will not cross.
Yeah.
Because, hello, you don't look like somebody who is going to heaven. When you're dressed like that, that's not a heaven bound person. Ah, no, 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 no. What am I doing with her? No, better go and look for some holy sisters in the Lord. So yes, I've
Yeah.
met some absolutely brilliant people, and it's been quite a journey. There's been ups and downs. There have been moments of existential crisis. I went my first couple of weeks out of religion. Yeah, I went through a deep deep depression because I was 40 years old, coming away from this thing that I'd been a part of all my life. I didn't know you could be an atheist. I didn't know there was a thing as
Mm.
an atheist. I didn't know that. I thought that everyone was born with a God desire, a God worshipping idea. I thought that was the way, but that some people get it right and some people just get it wrong. Some people just go the Islam way or go Hindu way. But I just thought that, so being an atheist, I did not know that that was a thing. And so here I am, an atheist, and I don't know anyone else who is an atheist in my life. There's nobody else, no one to talk to. And now I didn't know what to think, didn't know what to feel, how to think, how to feel, because all that time, everything was centered around that big character, the big God character. I always felt like he was right behind my shoulders, just looking at everything that I was doing, everything I was thinking, everything I was feeling, right? He was a big part of everything. That didn't stop me from sinning. It never stopped me from sinning, but just the idea that he saw it all. He saw it all. And I need to go apologize to him because he saw it and he's unhappy. So can you imagine that huge big character that has been a part of you for so long, now that he's not there anymore? So now who is this person now without that character over there, right? That has been a huge part of my life. So, it's just, I describe it as a loss of identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what was how was I supposed to be thinking? How was I supposed to, oh, just the little details. And this is why the atheist community will always be a very important part of deconstructing for a lot of people. Maybe not everyone, but I feel like, the more we get our faces out there, the more we get our voices out there, and just letting people know that you are not alone, right? Myself, when I first came out, I was thinking, do I want to make my face public? Do I want to go out there? Do I want to? But I realized that there's not many like me. There's not many middle-aged women, African atheists. I couldn't see any. I hardly any. And so I felt like, someone said something. They said, be the face you want to see. When you
Mm,
go online and you're looking for something to watch, who can I go and look? Oh, is this person online? And you think, okay, this is, oh yeah, let me go watch them because they look like me, they sound like me, I can relate, to their
yes.
content. Be the face you want to see. And so, hello, I decided, okay, I will, you know, just so that more people will start to realize that if she can do it, I can do it too. And so, yeah, this is where we are at the moment.
I want to talk to what you've just said, be the face you want to see. So, my experience is that there are very few African women, Black African women, who are outspoken atheists. In fact, I don't know how many there are. I don't, Esther, you might be able to say,
Mm,
Alvina, whether, uh, and I'm talking not based in the United States, not based even in the UK, but based
mhm,
in Africa. I think
mhm,
that might, I think that there's a few maybe in the United States, and then there might be, I don't know if you're the only Black African woman in the UK. You might be, you might not be, but you're definitely still a small group. And as one moves into Africa, and I think as one moves into Arab countries, where it's the same with Muslim women, because as a woman, we we have different rules apply to women, uh, not only prescribed by religion, but prescribed by society. And the more traditional a society is, the more strict those traditional roles are ascribed. And of course, I think one of the things that religion does in this modern day and age is to make sure that the traditional roles, be they gender roles, be they uh, racial roles, that those roles have to stay in place, because that's how what makes religion function. The fact that things change extremely slowly, if they do. So, Alvina, I'd like you to tell us if you know of any other Black atheist activist women out there, and whether you've received or experienced any backlash, any in some countries, somebody like you might experience death threats, might be targeted. Esther, I think in the UK, relatively safe, but I can absolutely see people from Nigeria um, targeting you, if online at least. So, do either of you experience anything like that?
Yeah, thank you. The thing is, a lot of people, they might be atheists, especially the women. And thank you so much, Esther, for sharing. but like so many are afraid to speak out because of what you might lose. What we establish is that if you're part of the Christian community or religious community, you already have a sense of community. Like I was just checking here, I was curious to know what's the predominant religion in Kenya, and that's Christianity, 85.5%, which is people who've actually answered that. There's so many I know who are atheists, but they wouldn't answer that in a questionnaire because they're afraid of the backlash, they're afraid of what they lose. Like for me, my dream job has always been to be like in the media, radio presenting and all that, and I lost a very great opportunity just because I told them I'm an atheist. I don't remember what they asked. And I'm like, I don't believe in that. They're like, why? And I'm like, because I'm an atheist. And I'm like, oops, it already came out. Because I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not. I want it to be like, what you see is what you get. But that comment cost me that job, that opportunity, and I hated that because I felt discriminated against because I was qualified in all other aspects, and it's something I've been working hard towards. So I can see why other ladies might be like, or other people in general, not just the ladies, might be like, is it worth it? Is this a hill I'm willing to die on? What will I gain from it? Because about human species and evolution, it's all about adaptability at the end of the day. What do I gain by saying I'm an atheist? Fine, I'm being authentic. I have my integrity. I am there. I'm my keyboard warrior. I can say all these things, but is it at the expense of getting money, getting bills paid, getting a roof over my head? You know, because I've been in companies where a lot of companies here actually start with prayers, singing, and if you show that you believe different, you will be treated differently. Every time someone will try to you and they'll try to impose on your freedom of expression, and they're like, I'm just also expressing myself. But we've been hearing that all through, even in school. Theory is, shoved down our throats. It's not a choice. So I can understand why a lot of people might choose not to identify, because we don't want to lose. You want to live at the end of the day. So I do know a few, but they're like countable on one hand. That's why I was excited. I was like, oh, another one and another one, because it's really rare to hear people who are willing to be outspoken about all this. I'm personally really outspoken, and I've gotten a lot of hate for it. Even sometimes in my inbox, so many Bible verses, people telling me I'll go to hell. No wonder I'm suffering. And I'm like, what's the correlation? I'm having a human experience. If 1 and 1 is not equating, there's nothing to do with superior whatever forces. It's because of the economy. It's because of there are other reasons. It's not just that one thing which you think you know based on your perception. Because if you were suffering and believing in their God, they'd still tell you that, oh, then it's the will of God. It's the divine plan. So really, it doesn't change the outcome. So what's the point? I've always been asking myself, what is the point? So I'd love more people to be outspoken, because honestly, the way Dean said that a woman for religion is like a chicken for KFC. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. Because like religion has been treating us so badly from time immemorial. You have to dress a certain way, you have to cover your head, especially me as a Jehovah's Witness, you have to wear a skirt, this dress. A man has to speak on your behalf. Like, am I not a person? Were people in the past that insecure that they had to write a book that everybody in future would be fighting about now? Like, those people were actually very brilliant, intelligent to write something like that and know it will force compliance, So I've been wanting to do the thing about the church, just like Esther said, but it's really hard when you're an actual human being and you don't want to deceive people. Because I've been in positions where I could just claim I'm saved, I could preach, and people would be, convinced, and I'd get a lot of money. But I'm like, it doesn't sit right with me, because people confuse atheism with lacking morality, and that's not the case. Like, you can still know right from wrong. You don't need a God or an invisible being to tell you, you feel this is my fellow human. How can I do that? But pastors, do they care? Hey, they don't. They really don't. It's about making money. So how can you be so faithful to this religion? How can you insult your friend? It's like insulting them based on what football team they support or what political team they support. Like, does it make sense? I come to your face and no, this is the government that is supposed to. No, you will burn in hell. Like, think about it critically. You don't support Arsenal, then you will burn in hell. Can you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? So
Alvina, you just said something that the irony of it has just struck me for the first time. You mentioned that there was a job opportunity and that you probably didn't get because you came out, you were open about your atheism. And I think many people can testify to having exactly the same experience. But if you were to if you were to say, I didn't get this job because I'm being discriminated against because I'm an atheist, then people will say, no, 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 it's not that, because that would just make the discrimination so open. But those same people will be willing to say that if you were a Christian, it's not you having some adversity in your life. So, but when it suits them, they can't say, yes, you have adversity because you're not a Christian. But when it doesn't suit them, they can't say that. When you say, I didn't get the job because I'm an atheist, then it's not all right for them to say that the adversity is because of your belief. But when it suits them, they can. It's just the constant hypocrisy. And the trouble with in the world of work, especially in, I think, in African countries, I don't think it would be the same in the UK, Esther, is that how do you prove that you didn't get the job because you said that you're an atheist? I mean, how can you make that case? It's impossible. But you know it, and the other person knows it, but how are you going to prove that? And it's the way people's attitudes towards one changes is amazing. And I want to add something to that. So as a married Afrikaans white woman, when my husband and I meet people, and it always happens sooner or later that it comes out that we are not religious. So perhaps it's my husband's way of saying it. He's not as outspoken about anything as I am. And I always say it's because he's 6'6". So he doesn't need to be outspoken because he is just always there. I'm just up to there. So I have to be loud, a little bit louder, just so that people can say, I'm there as well. But people respond differently to my husband admitting that he's not religious than to me admitting that I'm not religious. It's a very subtle difference. And sometimes I wonder, do I really find, maybe I'm imagining it, maybe I have a chip on my shoulder, maybe it's some bias, but I'm convinced that if you have two people who look the same, speak the same language, and one is male and one is female, and the male says, I don't believe in God, it's like, oh yeah, sure. But if the woman comes out and says, yeah, I don't believe in God, in the society that I live in, you treat it differently. Somehow it's fine for the man. He's wrong, and it shouldn't be like that. They'll just gloss over that. But for the woman, it's just like, you don't believe in God, you know. It's just that there's that added layer because we are women.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been told that I cannot be an atheist I cannot be African and be an atheist by several people. That those two things do not go hand in hand. And when I dig further into what the reason is that they hold such position, and they say to me, Africans believe in God. So some people think that being an African, your belief in God is intrinsic. You're born with a belief in God. And so I cannot be. There's something about being an atheist that is demonized in Africa for the most part. I have met people who don't believe in God, but just do not call themselves atheists. They're not comfortable. I've been challenged by fellow unbelievers who ask me, so why would you call yourself an atheist of all things? Do you not know that an atheist it's an English word, and we as Africans should be trying to distance ourselves from the colonizers? But that when you say atheist, that is the English definition of I'm like, and then you get people saying that, oh, you were not a real Christian to begin with. And that frustrates me. Because if there was anyone who was a Christian, I think I would have fit the bill. I would have fit the bill for what you call a Christian. I wasn't just
Mm.
your everyday Christian. I took my Christianity very seriously. I wasn't one to just sit in the pews and let things happen. I would get involved. I would be part of the choir. I would teach children. I took part in everything. I was even making my way to becoming a priest. I sat on the board. I was voted in on that board. And do you know what it is to be voted in on the board? Right? It means that some people they've looked at you and think, okay, she would be good for the church, right? Just not your everyday person. And so for somebody to turn around and say you were not a real Christian, my question to them now becomes, who then is a real Christian?
Christian.
What are the hallmarks of a real Christian? What does that look like? But then they can't really give you. You start hearing all sorts of different opinions. Oh, a Christian is one who believes in a follower of Christ. A Christian is one who, it becomes all this whole, talking points that just do not make sense at all. So, yeah, I mean, it is a challenge, but I'm always up for a challenge. And I mean, with sisters like both of you, I mean, both of you look adorable today. With sisters like both of you, I'm in good company. I tell you, listen, I'm good. I'm good. Mm-mm-mm. It
Well,
only it gets better. It gets better. It's going to get better.
Mhm.
we're going to, Alvina is going to write us a, what is it, the term, the
An
song?
anthem.
Yes, but it's
Oh,
going to be,
oh.
it's going to be a headbang dance
I've
atheist
I've
anthem for,
actually I've written a couple of short songs. I have. Um and yeah, I've written a couple of short songs. They're not bangers as such. They
uh,
are more on the gentle, mellow sort of side. But
have you
I
set
mean,
them to have, are they set to music, Esther?
sorry,
Are they set to music? Or it's
I
just
can
the
sing them.
words? Or,
I've got the
well,
words and I've got the tune.
well, you know what I
Send them
think we should
over.
do?
Send them over.
we, I'm going to speak to Dean, and I'm going to get my friend Jackie Hunker, and the three of you. I'll just enjoy it. We
Right.
need to get the three of you jamming to create the first atheist feminist album, because Jackie has written
Mm,
an
mm,
anthem
mm, mm.
for Kruisvrij. It's in 4 different versions. She's also done, I wrote alternate words to the Lord's Prayer. So she's done a version, a vocal version of that. And I can write some words. I've also done a new words for Amazing Grace, non-religious words
Oh,
for Amazing Grace. And that needs to get out there. But we've got 3 people. I know that Esther can sing. I've never heard your singing, Alvina, but obviously you can sing. You can even do bang. What do you? I mean, I'm old. Okay, I'm 51,
no, you're
so I'm old,
not.
and
No,
I don't do.
you're not.
We
Look,
are waiting for new bodies in heaven, don't we?
let's be reasonable. If anybody younger than 20 sees me, they will think I'm old, because, and it's fine. I'm 100%, from their perspective, I am old. I love the experience that comes with it. And I love that I can, in this day and age, I'm not limited by my age. I'm just limited by what I'm willing and able to expose myself to. So we need to get together and do this atheist anthems for
We
women.
should. We
And
should.
so I'm going to talk to Dean, and I'm going to talk to my friend Jackie, and we need to
Yes.
do that, because that needs to happen, because I think we need to reframe and tell a new story about women activists, because discrimination is real in societies. If it's not gender, then it's going to be skin color, and if it's not skin color, it's going to be language. Every single society has some form of discrimination.
Like you said, sorry, like age. You say you're called old. We've been called old since I don't know which year by these kids. So I don't see anything wrong with it, but okay.
Yes, and discrimination per se is not always 100% wrong, in the sense that not everything is suitable to. So I discriminate when I buy shoes or when I buy clothes. I discriminate. I choose. I have to make the right selection. But we need to make it very clear that before you discriminate, use the right criteria. Because I mean, I'm not going to be a good soccer player. Never. I will never be a good soccer player. I never would have been, not when I was young. But if I wanted to, first let me pass the proper criteria, and then you can begin to say, yeah, no, you're not going to make it because you don't have the necessary qualities. And then there are certain things where no form of discrimination is suitable, because everybody has the right to speak their mind. There is no criteria. There is no criteria that gives me or anybody else the right to say that person's voice is not allowed to be heard. And we need to make those things very clear. And I think we need to communicate that in such a way that maybe we can do it in a non-threatening way. Although, I don't know, there will be those who say that any woman who speaks out is threatening by just being alive. So for those, I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to live with it, because Alvina is here and Esther is here, and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you can't deal with women being activists for atheism or anything else, you're going to have to sort of just live with it.
Deal with it. Yeah.
Deal with it. Yeah. So I just want to see a heads up from Dean. We've gone over time already. Dean, you'd have to going to give me an indication. Do we continue or do we begin to close? And Dean is like God. Bloody hell, he's not asking.
From the end times, he will come like a thief.
I absolutely love Dean. I do. Dean is one of those people. He is such a delight, and I just wonder what with Dean. Let me tell you, Dean. I have met many people through Dean. Dean, he is the connector. He is. Dean is the connector. He knows how to fish people out. He knows where to find people. I don't know where I don't know where he goes.
He's coming. Oh, there he is.
There he is. There he is.
Ladies, I there's no time limit. Today the show is yours. So, you are welcome to speak your mind. We didn't plan as usually we try to keep our show to an hour, but I'm sitting here and I'm riveted to the conversation that you guys are having. So, you guys are welcome to, continue as long as your schedule allows. I'm here for it. I am on leave for the next 2 days, so I've got nothing to do.
You think we can talk for 2 days?
Entertainment.
Yeah, but this is a ladies' show today, so I'm going to drop myself to the audience, and I'll be listening. You just tell me when you guys are ready to call it a day.
Okay,
Pastor Pickpocket. My goodness.
It's true. That's what they all do. They pick your pockets.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is that we go for another 10 minutes or so, And
Okay.
I would like to, but you see, all of us come from our own place, and I have 3 children, and I found it very challenging to raise them non-religiously in a very religious society. But that might not be an issue for the 2 of you, or for other women, or for people in other societies. So if that is something you'd like to speak to, then please go ahead, because I think there are people out there who, especially mothers, and especially single mothers, because being a single mother is already challenging in so many ways. Being a non-religious African single mother has its own challenges, because one of the things that churches do and religious communities do so effectively is to support one another. You know, if you go to church, you have this community of people, although they might sometimes be fake, and it might not be as authentic as we want to believe. It's there. I mean, you have, sorry, I'm just plugging in my charger. There we go. So I would like you to talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind. And Alvina, I'm sure you'll have an opinion, even if you might not have children. And the other thing,
I didn't say I don't have children. I said I didn't want to open that chapter because it was so complicated. I have a daughter and a son, but they don't live with me. They were separated from me because of my very vocal, different opinions. And my mom thought she was the better parent, and it's a long story. We're separated right now. But the funny thing is, my son is an atheist, and he found a way to contact me and show me his TikTok, his YouTube. And I was like, wait, what? And I had no influence on him on that whatsoever, meaning that there's information out there, knowledge out there to be found, and he found it regardless of you trying to keep it.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, I just know of other people who have lost their children because they are not faithful, and that is just so cruel. I don't even want to begin to go there, because I'll just become really mean and nasty. So yeah, that is just shocking. Esther, talk a little bit about being a mother, being a single mother, and raising kids who are exposed to religion.
Yeah, for me, that's still a sensitive topic because it still affects them up to date. Like for me right now, where I am, my mind is open enough to be able to deal with the discrimination, to deal with the after effects. But like I can't negate the fact that it has an effect on them right now, because my son is turning 11 in June and he's very smart. Even there's a time when I was home and I was about to answer something, and he was like, just, maintain, he already knows, don't say a certain thing or don't react a certain way because, oh, grandma's gonna lose it, and that's really hard to see, oh, this person has matured too fast. And for me, it's been different because I was the last born. I gave birth when I was back home still. I was the first kid I got. I was 19, still at home. And there was a lot of tug of war, push and pull. But I thought about it, and the fight, I was like, we have a Swahili saying that says, ndovu wawili wakipigana nyasi huumia, which basically means if 2 big animals fight, it's the grass that is hot, like if 2 big hippopotamus, the 2 big elephant fight, African proverb. Yeah, so I'm like, if she's not hurting them, they're getting food, they're getting shelter, why are we fighting exactly? Because I'm a very rational person, So the point is, this would prove you're a better parent. You know what? Go right ahead. Because at the end of the day, you can't change that we are who we are. Like, I'm still their mom, and they'll find ways to contact me if I know they're smarter than me times 1,000,000%. Because if my son could stumble upon atheism at 8 years old and start asking me questions, that time I was still with my mom, and I hadn't even become an atheist. He was already a scientist questioning things. I don't even know if it's him who made me become one or the other way around. So like, the information is right out there. It's not about the influences. As long as facts are there and they can be proven, So of course it does have an impact on me as a mother. Society will judge me harshly. She's a bad person. She's not, because they have this opinion that a woman is just, once you become a mother, you don't have any other identity. You're not a person, you're not an individual. And for me, my background was very traumatic. I was raised by someone who was very bitter. They didn't chase after their dreams. And I saw the negative impact not allowing yourself to affirm your beliefs as an individual has, especially as a woman. Like once you become a mom, you don't stop dreaming. If you wanted to be a singer, you still, there's a part of you that still wants to sing. But because society has shown you, no, you should be noble. It's your kids' time now. Your time is done. Even if you're 30, 40, they're like, your time is done. What do you mean it's done? My life has just begun, you know? Like I'm also living. So I don't know. It's a blessing and a curse because I know there are pros and cons to each side. But again, being rational, I'm just like, I'm ready to accept the consequences of whatever side, as long as I'm living authentically and they still get to the truth at the end of the day. I didn't have to put any influence, and I'm like, wow, you already found that out. That's really brilliant, meaning there's knowledge out there to be sought, there's information out there to be found. And at some point, I know we will reunite, but right now it's not a thing, because apart from being an atheist, I am an antinatalist. I do believe, I'm like, I didn't ask to be here on this planet. We're here, we're suffering. It's so hard, the economy, everything. So I do carry a lot of unpopular beliefs that have, you know, gotten me a lot of controversy, people fighting me a lot online, trolls here and there. But do I care? No, you don't pay my bills. So yeah, even if it would have an effect here, I just realized becoming an atheist really freed my mind. I started living a fearless life where I genuinely don't care. Like I'm sleeping with my own thoughts at the end of the day. As long as I'm being authentic, I'm being myself. Y'all can say whatever. You'd even be drinking a glass of water, and humans will always talk. That's an aspect of another thing people confuse. They forget that just being an atheist is not the entirety of my identity. You know, we have so many facets as human beings. I have a version of you I've created in my mind. You have a version of me, and the rest. So just because you've refused the existence of gods does not mean you're not a person who loves, you know, music, or who loves the colors, or just taking a walk. You're still a human. Belief is not the entirety of our identity. That's what I'm that's what I've been trying to tell people. Like, fine, I don't believe in your shit, but you know I actually love Chris Brown. Can we talk about this other thing that can reunite us or something? No, people want to focus on the one thing that can divide us. You should believe, repent. That's why you're suffering. Shut up now.
That should, Dean,
I like that passion. I like that passion. I like that passion. Oh my goodness! I think there is. Sorry, go on, Tessa.
No, continue, Esther, please.
Okay, just wanted to also add my only 2 cents. So I have two sons. One is 21, and the other one is 14. My two boys are atheists. My 21-year-old has never believed in God. Never. It's never been a thing for him. And so, can you imagine the days when I was a Christian, ex-husband Christian, and we would go to church, and this young man, my son, just would never want to be in church, didn't care to be there, didn't care for any of that stuff at all. But because we were Christians, he had no choice. He had to come with us. We forced, I cajoled, I coerced, I did everything in my power to get that boy to believe in my faith at the time. But it just did not happen for him. He took on football on a Sunday. And you know, that was a huge struggle. Instead of him coming to church, he's going to football training. I went to the football club manager to go say, look, our religion means more to us than this football. Is there a way you can help my son? Because I knew my son enjoyed football. Is there a way that you can maybe have him train during the week? He said to me, welcome to the UK. He said, do you see me here? Me? I am a minister of God. I am, right? I am an ordained minister. He said, here in the UK, football training Sundays. So he says, I know how you feel, right? Christian mother wanting her son, he says, I've had this many a times. He said, Mom, you're going to have to deal with it. He said, look, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is here in the UK. People train on Sundays. And so, my goodness, I went there expecting him to say, okay, we can shift, a little bit, we can, and to get that. So,
Nope.
well, um, cut the long story short, my son, of course, he was getting older, and of course, he didn't want to be in church, and he stopped coming. He stopped coming, and it just church never rubbed off on him. So when I became an atheist, I saw the error in my ways. I looked back at the times when I tried to force him, tried to do everything in my power to get him to believe, and it never happened. And I felt guilty for doing that. I apologized to my son. I said, Son, I am sorry. I am terribly sorry. I realize now how wrong I was to try and force the faith down on you. Please accept my apology. And he said, Mom, I accept my apology. I accept your apology. He said, he then asked me, he said, Mom, do you understand? He wants to know, do I understand how the Bible never made sense to him? That when we were in church, folks would be reading from the Bible. He would look at the content and just think, this doesn't make sense. But then he would look at all the adults in church. Everyone's nodding in approval, right? They're nodding like this makes sense. But for him, it's not making any sense. He said, Mom, do you understand what that's like? I said, Son, look, I get it now. Now I get it. Because I look at the Bible and I'm thinking, what the hell? How did this once make sense to me? I also said, I also thanked him, right? I also said, Son, another thing, I need to thank you for standing your ground. Despite the coercion by your African parents, your African you stood your ground, and you were not going to get yourself in something that you were not convinced by. Can you imagine how young he was, but he was still able to suss that this is rubbish, and stood his ground firmly. He's 21 and has never believed in a God. And I feel like, wow, that whole indoctrination, brainwashing, the religious trauma ends with me. I have not passed it on. My younger one was 9 years old. He's autistic. So for him, everything is black or white, right? If something is not making sense, he will tell you. He's not one of these that, he does not understand metaphors. He doesn't understand, nuance, right? When you're talking and there are nuances. He doesn't understand that it's black or it is white. He came to me when he was 9 years old and said, Mom, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. He said he learned about Jesus's death. He said, Mom, I don't like blood, right? I said, I know you don't. He said he didn't want to be a part of that barbaric death of this innocent person. So for him, identifying as a Christian means he is saying that he approves of this person dying like this. 9 years old, he could
Wow.
figure this out, right? And so today, I mean, me and the son, we've been out, we're back. Today's Sunday, right? We either do go out, do things on a Sunday. We our Sundays are family days. Our Sundays, that's the time we spend with each other doing things that we cannot, sort of do during the week. That's what we do on a Sunday, right? And so, Alvina, I'm so sorry to hear about your experience, with your children, and I hope that it gets better for you. I'm proud of your son, though. 11 years old. I'm proud of him. children, you see, and this makes me understand now that all the believers that you see today, if they were given a chance, like our children had the chance, many of them will not be believers. A lot of people were indoctrinated, and the power, you can't underestimate the power of indoctrination.
Yeah.
It is strong. It is strong. It gets a hold of you, right? And even in the face of evidence, in the face of fact, in the face of truth, you can't see it because you have been indoctrinated. I'm thankful for my two sons, right? They wouldn't the religious trauma would not pass on to them. But I can't then sit and fold my hands and say, okay, because mine are okay, so now let's just enjoy and go. No, there's other people that need to hear this. There's other people that need to understand the impact in 10 years. And this is why I look at a country like Nigeria, where um um over 98% of the population are religious. I think in 50 years from now, oh my goodness, the state of that country, if you don't get a grip right now on religion, right? It's a ticking time bomb. Just the fight between Christians and Muslims. That is a ticking time bomb every single time. It's always just waiting to kick off between the two religions. Then, think about it. Children. In Nigeria, you talk to children, ask them what they want to be when they grow up. And they tell you, I want to be a pastor when I grow up.
Mm.
What?
Yep. So I want to move the conversation a little bit away from politics, although, well, not that you spoke about politics, but as a mother, I do think that women experience becoming a parent in a totally different way that dads do. And I'm not saying that fathers don't love their children. I'm not saying that they don't have the same emotion, but to carry a child in your body and give birth, it's actually, I've read that some of the baby's DNA remains in the mother's body. Almost, it's traceable for many years. So there is something that the experience of a mother is different than that of a father. And in my opinion, the effect of mothers who give their children space and accept that they are their own persons, they're their own people, that makes a difference. Because in religion, religious mothers see their children as these gifts from God that they have to get right with God, and the mother takes the prime responsibility for that. Whereas, so the way that you interact with your child is different when you're religious to when you're not religious. And I know that because when I was not religious, I was a different kind of mother. You just see them differently, and you feel responsibility for pushing them so that they will find God, because that's the most important thing that you can do as their mother, to make sure that they don't go to hell, which is so unfair to the mother and to the child, because you can't force a child, you can't even force your own child to choose or to be who he or she is not. Whereas when you're a non-religious mother, you find it easy. But it's always easy as a mother. I often say the most difficult thing to do as a mother is to let your children go, to let them make their own mistakes. It's very difficult, but it's almost impossible as a religious mother to do that. And the angst and the anguish and the conflict it causes the mother and the relationship and the child is just amplified when religion comes into the mix. So mothers and mothering is a complex thing. And when you add that religious layer on top of it, it just becomes even more messy, because being a mother is always messy, and it's complicated to begin with. And I think that as women and as mothers, we need to speak out about that. And I want to say something about antinatalism, because I think that if I were, well, I don't know, it's difficult to say, but I can absolutely see the merit in antinatalism. I also see that our biological instincts are probably too strong to override it in most cases, because I love, but you know, being an antinatalist doesn't mean that you don't love babies. I can absolutely see one saying the fact that there are children who are not taken care of. Antinatalists are not saying get rid of them, as far as I understand it. I think that we should open that discussion up as women as well. Just for example, this whole thing about religion and women and mothers and loving your children. My mom was recently told that she can no longer truly love her children because she's an atheist now. So yeah, she was told by a friend that has been friends with them for generations, for more than 50 years. This person said to my mom and my dad, so you no longer love your children because you can only love if you're a Christian. If you're not a Christian, you can't love. You by default, never mind not being moral, you don't have the capacity for love if you are not a Christian.
That's crazy.
It's taking it so far to say that you can't love your own children, because only God can give you the ability to love your own children. I mean, then we haven't even begun to talk about questions like female reproduction and the effect that religion has had on women's reproductive rights, and having this idea that because you're a woman, you must want children. What? Not all women want children. You know, the layers of being a woman and being non-religious and being a Black African, it just the complexities and the layers of life experience is something that I think is not talked about enough. I don't think that in the atheist community we talk enough about the female experience of being an atheist, and the African experience of being an atheist. And I've enjoyed this conversation so much. I'm going to say I've had my say. I've had so much fun. Being a mother, I have to go and prepare supper now. My folks are coming over, and I can smell the smells from the kitchen, and I need to go and pay attention, because you know that's also what women do. We didn't even talk about that. Esther, I'm so glad your washing machine is fixed. Praise
Oh
me.
my goodness. Yes.
Hallelujah.
So I'm going to give each one of you a final opportunity to, in 1 minute, say your last say, and then I'm going to say thank you to Dean, thank you to the audience. I'm trying to read James's comment, but you know,
James
James, James, it's been lovely to know that you're watching us. I've been keeping an eye. The thing is, I need to put my glasses on and come really close to the screen, and then it doesn't look. It's terrible, you know. They should do something about the arms that get too short as one ages. So I'm going to give Alvina, you go first, and Esther, you close for us, and then I'm going to say thank you so much to everybody who was watching. Thank you, Esther. It was lovely to be on with you again, and we are going to do this atheist female anthem music bang club thing, where Esther's going to sing her songs, Alvina's going to sing, I'm going to get my friend Jackie on, and we're going to do women atheist music. That's what we're going to do. and it's going to be all original, and that's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. And on that note, Alvina, you go 1 minute, say goodbye, and then Esther, your final comments. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. I will see you again soon with a head bang. God is not great. Huh? How's that sound?
On that bound, that is not great coming in with my verse. Thank you so much, Tercia, for having us. It's been such a blast. And like you said, there's so many layers to uncover. So we can't even do it all in one sitting, meaning we have to have more conversations such as this. I've been very grateful for your time with you ladies. It's been so great. And I'm looking forward to having more opportunities to discuss and even creating content together. Like I said, a club banger, and having that sense of community within one another, and among one another, so that we are able to keep being authentically ourselves without fear of, I won't be afraid I'm going to lose a job here, because I know there are ladies somewhere, empowered atheist ladies, with 5-10 companies who can also give me a job, and they know I'm qualified for that. You know what I mean? So we should keep, speaking out, empowering each other, and just being unapologetically ourselves, because at the end of the day, we are individuals. We found ourselves here. There are many questions that true cannot be answered, but we won't fill that in with just imaginary fables just to go through life. We're on a quest for knowledge, and that never stops. So I'm grateful that you guys could have me here. I'm so grateful to meet you, Tercia. Meeting you, Esther, has been really great, and looking forward to our anthem and our next conversation. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Alvina. Thank you. And guys, I do appreciate every single conversation that we have. Yeah, there might be months that go by, we don't see each other, but just knowing that you're still keeping that flag flying. Because with religion is declining. Religion will decline. This is it's a revolution. The revolution has begun. We are part of that revolution, right? And we are like forerunners. If I ask you, did you have anyone who was teaching you how to be an atheist? I bet your answer was no. How many other atheists did you know before you became an atheist? Probably none. Maybe one, maybe two, hardly any. And so to know that we are, we are, making it's a precedent. We are starting something. We are starting that ball rolling. And so do not relent. Do not give up, right? If at any time you feel like, oh, you want to give up, just reach out to one of us, right? This is what we're here for. Sisters supporting each other. Without God, without Christ, without Allah, we are what we have got. We are what we have got. We've got no other. Right? Well, when I mean no other, I mean up above. There is nothing coming up above, right? This is what we have. And so together we can do this. We will do this. And our voices need to be heard a bit more, right? I don't when I started having these conversations, I didn't have a clue how to debate, didn't have a clue about anything. All I know is that at that time was I no longer believed in God, and I wanted other people to hear about this. That's all I knew. I didn't have a clue about philosophy. I'd never taken a philosophy class one day in my life, had no clue about these things. But here we are today, and somebody needs to hear you. Someone needs to hear you. Your voice is important. And so, yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to say in closing that we need to clip that sentence where Esther said, the revolution has begun. It's not going to stop. And something that I want to stick with our audience is everybody to be the face you would like to see. And let's go out there and be that face, because there's somebody out there who needs to see your face, who needs to hear your voice. And as women, I think we need to go there, be that, and let's change the world as only women can. Thank you so much. Hope to speak soon again.
Before you go, just yeah, that's my name, the Afro Atheist. That's my channel name.
Yeah.
I might be going live later on. I've decided to talk a lot more about African preachers. This is something I do, but I feel like I've left that for some time, and so yeah, that's something that I would get back into doing a lot more of. So if that's something that interests you, subscribe to the Afro Atheist and join me. I do have panels as well where you can join in, lend your voice, and yeah, so I might go live later on today.
Let's say that again. Check out the Afro Atheist channel. Alvina, do you have a channel that you'd like to promote?
For me, it's mostly my Facebook where I wage religious wars. But like on my YouTube, it's mostly my music and dancing. So if anyone wants to be entertained, as you can, I'm a fun, loving, bubbly soul and just enjoy life. Sometimes when people are fighting, I'm just there by the sidelines laughing. So if you like
for it, you
you're welcome.
hard-hearted, unhappy atheist. Esther, I want to say something about your going in for African pastors. I would like us to collaborate on one other thing in this year. I have free access within meters of where I live to lots of African churches, and I would love to go there with my camera and share with you what is happening on the ground, because that is a dream that I have, and I'm just working on getting my tech right. Dean's going to help me with that. So I will be in contact with the Afro Atheist to see what we can do about visiting African churches, and I will be doing that for the Afro Atheist. Hopefully one day soon, in the near future, we can check out some African pastors in action on the Afro Atheist, the real thing. Absolutely. With me going there with my camera, and let's see what comes to the surface if we do that. Revolution, baby.
Sorry, I can't wait for the time we have many more like atheist-owned businesses. I've always wanted to start my own media house, mostly dominant atheists, so people can have more discussions like this. You know what I mean? Like those things about pastors. Like, yeah, like I can't wait. I'm sure we're headed there, and there'll be more inclusivity. The same way there can be a Christian FM, whatever religion channel. Why can't there be also a secular, not necessarily atheist, but secular?
Absolutely.
Secular. Yeah.
Absolutely. We will have to talk, but for now, the real world is waiting. I've got hungry kids to feed. Goodbye, everybody. It was lovely. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.